So welcome everyone to this month's webinar. This month's session is going to be on license compliance overrides with Sarah Breer. Just a few housekeeping rules. As usual, this session is being recorded and will be shared with all registrants later this week. So if you'd like to share the recording with a colleague who is unable to attend, or if you'd like to revisit any of the content discussed, you can. A copy of the slides and the Q&A will also be emailed to you next week. The audio for this session is also available through your computer speakers or by dialing in by phone. So if you experience any poor sound quality at any time through your computer, you may wish to try dialing into the session by phone instead. This can be done by accessing your device settings at the top of your screen within the Teams session. You can click the three dots for more settings, then select device settings, and a device setting area will open on your right-hand side. Everyone will be muted throughout the session. However, there is a chat area, as you can see, which can also be accessed via the top of your screen within Teams. We'll be monitoring this throughout the session, so let us know if you have any questions or comments that you might have during the presentation, and there will also be a Q&A at the end of the session, as usual. As usual, Imogen will be giving us an update on DCS 2.0, and following that, Sarah Breer, our development manager for higher education at CLA, is going to be talking about license compliance override. And this is the order that everything will happen in today. And I'll shortly be handing over to Sarah Breer. I think everyone has arrived now, Imogen. To say
no, let's just
else,
no. I think let's kick off. Let's go straight to Sarah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Let's kick off.
Sarah.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Imogen.
No problem.
Good morning to all of you who have joined us on this lovely sunny January morning, but probably shouldn't speak too soon. So, as you know, the digital content store has will do a number of checks for you, provided that it's linked to your LMS, integrated, I should say. But it doesn't stop you from doing things, and there are a few places where you will have an option to put in what we call an override. And I just thought it would be a good idea to go back to some of these, the ones that are most used. Why might you use them? What's the reasoning behind them? And what to do if you have any issues with them. So there are two main overrides. So the first one is to do with ownership, and the second is more to do with license coverage, so what is covered by the CLA license. And again, this is provided that your LMS is integrated. So this is actually the second set here. So I'm just going to, before we get on to these particular ones on screen, I'm just going to take a quick look at the ownership override. So it is a license requirement that the source copy you use for copying under the CLA license is owned by your institution. It's not a personal copy. It's not owned by a personal lecturer. It is owned by your institution, owned or subscribed to, but there are some situations where you can still upload without that being the case, or confirming that that is actually the case. So what will come up here are 5 different categories. Perhaps we could put them in the chat as I go along. Monica, would that be okay? So the first one you might get when you're creating a request is the DCS will search your LMS. It will see or think that your institution doesn't own it, but actually you think, well, I think we do. It might be because it is not catalogued. So that is the first one. So your institution does own the publication or does subscribe to it, but for some reason, whatever reason, it's not being catalogued. It might be a new purchase, for example. So click the override for that one. The second one is copyright fee paid. So you can select this override if your institution has purchased a copyright fee paid copy, mainly from via EHES. So this would fulfill the license requirement that an institution owns the source copy. Because you've bought that copy from the British Library, you have paid a copyright fee on it. So that will then sit in your own collection as though you had purchased the original, even though it's usually an article, but it could be a chapter, for example. So that's the one to pick there. Personal copy is the next one. And personal copies can't be used for copying under the CLA license, but there's a couple of things to say about this one. During COVID, we did allow a little bit of copying from personal copies to do with access to collections. It was very difficult to actually physically access copies for scanning. So there was that. And then we do say, and this is for your own decision, but in very exceptional circumstances, it might be okay to use a personal copy, but they must be exceptional. So it's generally possible to buy whatever you need, but there might be, for example, a very old publication that is owned by a lecturer and isn't possible to buy anywhere. You've looked everywhere, it's not available on the second-hand market, you've just drawn a blank. In that case, we would say, well, that's reasonable, you've checked, it's not possible to purchase, you can use the personal copy, but it's pretty rare. The next one would be purchased. So this is where your university has purchased it. It may not be catalogued, it may not be going to be catalogued, but you're confident that it's been purchased. So that's the one to click there. And then the final one is catalogued. This is where there might be a little mistake, and it actually is catalogued, but the search isn't picking it up. So that's pretty rare again, but it's just there as a fallback, just in case. I wouldn't think it is used very much, but it's there, as a backup. And we're looking at these pretty much as part of the 2.0 DCS, just sort of reviewing these overrides, and are they still relevant? Is there anything we could do to make them a little bit more relevant? But for now, those are the ownership ones. So the second lot is what you're seeing on your screen now. So you will get to the not found. If the system looks up and something is not found by the interface with check permissions, there are a few things that you can do. So first of all, even if an item is not found, it still might be covered by the license. So if you go into check permissions and you get a not found response, then have a look at the more details. That will tell you what to do. It will tell you that there are certain items that, even though they're not found, they are covered by the license. So for example, I'm trying to remember, it's if it's a printed item that's published in the UK and it hasn't been specifically excluded, so it's not on the exclusions list, then you can cover it. And if you like, you can let us know and we'll try and get it added onto check permissions. So in that case, you would click it is covered by the license. I think that's the correct button to click. But if it's not, there might be some other overrides that you can use. You might have got direct permission from the publisher. So you've sought permission and you have permission. That's fine. Just remember that to refer to the terms that are put in that direct permission, for example, around how much you can copy. Just make sure that it's within that. You might be wanting to use something that is covered by an open access or Creative Commons license, so tick that if that's the case. Primary license, that is where you might want to copy under the terms of a primary license, such as your ebook license. And again, look at the terms and conditions. It might not be as generous as a CLA license, particularly in terms of extent limits, but it might be more generous. So look at the terms and conditions again, but that's fine to upload, provided it is covered. Now, the next override is something that we need to come back to, I think. It's called special license provision, and it's been used as a bit of a catch-all, I think. So originally this was put in place to cover the additional extent limits that we provided for under COVID that I mentioned a little bit earlier. But actually it's being used for other things as well. So you might contact us if it's a not found inquiry and you're not sure whether it's covered, and we might come back to you and say, actually, yes, it is covered, and we'll add it to check permissions. So that's being used for that, where we have said, yes, it's covered. Also for NLA content. So you might want to use your NLA content. This is what you would tick here. It's not very much used, I believe, but I think this is something we need to come back to and just make sure that it's really clear what to use when. Something might be out of copyright. If you're sure it's out of copyright, then tick that one. If you're not sure if something is out of copyright, then you could drop us a line, but there are a few things to bear in mind. So of course you all know about the Life Plus 70, and that might also apply to editions and editorships. So editions, published editions, and published commentaries, for example. There might be the notes to a public domain work that have been written by a contemporary editor. And then finally, it might be a second extract permission. So you have purchased second extract permission. If it is available to purchase a second extract permission, you can pop that in there. And I think that's all of the overrides that we have at the moment. But do let me know, Imogen, have I missed any?
Not to my knowledge, no. I've actually updated the slide because you're right. If it comes back as not found, then covered by CLA license is an option. So I've added that to the slide for when we send it round.
Super.
And I suppose the only thing I would add is that if you add second extract permission, then that obviously within the DCS will then change the percentage allowance, and you'll get that green tick where it's required.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's wonderful. Thank you. Are there any questions for Sarah before we move on? Or, sorry, was there anything else you wanted to say, Sarah?
Not right now, but if you have any questions or feedback, please, yes, do get in touch with us.
Okay. Well, we'll keep looking for questions while I steal the share. And, let me just check I'm doing this right. Yeah. In which case, let's move on. And if you're all right to stick around, Sarah, we've got a slot for questions later. So, okay, so DCS update. Yes, I am going to talk about DCS too, but also just a quick what's happening with the current platform. I thought we'd start by talking about EHES and change of style. We'll look at EHES orders month by month. So the purple line there, so this is the total orders, and you can see them kind of peaking in, and the other one, sorry, are the current status. So is it, well, status last week, was it awaiting review, accepted, cancelled, couldn't be fulfilled, that kind of thing. So you'll see, as you'd kind of expect, that there's a big peak in September. By October, things are live, so that's happening. We actually had this massive spike in December. That's a bit of an anomaly. It was largely due to one university, you know who you are, going through a kind of one-off process. But apart from that, I think the trajectory is as we would expect. And what else might we want to look at? It's quite gratifying actually to look at the dark blue, that's this one here, which is the could not be fulfilled. So it's going down as a proportion of the whole, excuse me, which is great, and reflects the fact that a lot more of the British Library stock is coming online, so they're able to fulfill more and more EHS orders. Although we should remember that there are still quite a few that they're not able to access. Then the proportion of in progress, yeah, just so this uptick at the end of the in progress ones, obviously that's because they're literally in progress at the moment, and those particular orders will work through the system over the next few months. So that's EHS as we are. It's I think going well. We had, as I say, we had a bit of a peak in December, so you might have noticed that things took a little bit longer to turn around because that huge influx came at the same time as Christmas holidays. But we are now out the other end, and I think things are going well. Monica, can you just check the admissions? Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Them in.
Wonderful, thank you very much. So next up is just to let you know that we have another Born Digital load coming soon. The first phase of it, which is preparing all the metadata, is underway. That's due to come to me in a couple of weeks, and then we'll get it into the system. At the very initial stage, there were around about, well, I think there were about 12,000, but probably we'll be loading about 10,000. There's usually a bit of attrition. And I would expect it to come onto the system either very end of February, maybe early March. So next time I'll certainly have a rundown of the publishers and what's coming on. I think we've got, again, 2 new publishers who've recently signed, so that's good. So more content coming. And then onto the new platform. So I'm not going to show you actual screenshots and build at the moment, but I want to just talk about one of the biggest changes that we have, which is a kind of underlying structure. So the current platform is an all-in-one platform. So we go into the same URL that you do, we go into the same system, and the only thing is that we've got a few more options in our menu and a little bit more visibility. But basically it's the same thing. In the new one, we're kind of modernizing the way it's built, basically, and separating these 2 parts out into 2. So we'll have the DCS, the you-facing platform, so that where you go in and manage your content and your requests, and then we have a completely different system for the administration, our side of it. That means that in the DCS, in the library-facing view, it will only ever be possible to see data from one HEI at the same time, and basically this will make it much more secure. I mean, it's not insecure. We obviously take all of the precautions that we possibly can in the current way, and we haven't had an issue. But it as the world gets more and more hack, potential for hacking grows, I suppose. This is the way that we're going to build it in order to make sure that it's really secure. So that is one of the big changes. I mean, actually, from your perspective, it should still look fairly similar. The biggest change is on our side. So far, what have we got? Well, built and in the system, so far it's mainly on our side, actually, as I say, because we're splitting them out, they kind of have to build bits twice. So we've got all of the logging and single sign-on and things for us. We can create institutions and the institution table. We can see the user tables inside the new system. In the library side, again, one can log in and get those kind of first user, yes, I agree to the terms and conditions, that kind of thing. And then we've at the design stage for the rest, so what they're building at the moment basically is being able to kind of edit the institution, and then we're getting started on the user table and beginning to prepare the courses table so we can get courses into the system itself. Once we've got courses, we can finally, it's very exciting, move on to actually creating requests, which I'm very excited about. So that's the build. At the same time, we're looking ahead to launch and thinking about the support that we provide. So obviously we're going to have to review and redo to an extent all of the knowledge base support that we have. I want to ask you for some feedback to make sure that since we're going to have to redo everything anyway, we do it in a way that's working well for you. I mean, basically, how easy is it to find the stuff you need? The articles themselves, are they easy to follow? Actually, we have articles. Is that the best format? Would video be better? I don't know. And then anything else that you want to tell us. So I love a survey. So I've made a little survey. The QR code's there. I should be able to, oh no, I've pasted something else. So I'm just going to have to grab my link. Yeah, the link to it is in the chat there, but we'll send it round with the video later. And I think I've set that to be open until 12th of February. So got a little time for people who couldn't make it to the live session. So please do give me your thoughts. We, and absolutely, this is Monica and Stephen, will be rewriting basically everything as we go forward. So yeah, what will make your life easier? Good. So that is really all I had to share today. Just before we go to the Q&A, and I can see that there are some questions in already.
Yeah, I was about to say
I wanted to,
yep,
there. Sure. So before we go there, though, I just wanted to flag that next month we'll have another colleague joining us. Lucy Hadfield is going to come and talk about Born Digital. So kind of tell us a little bit more about how the content works at CLA and how we work with publishers. So if you've got any questions around how we work with publishers, do let us know. And then, so that'll be February. After that, obviously, we'll always have the DCS update, but is there anything that you would like to hear about? Or maybe you've got a great idea and you'd like to talk to the community. So is there anything, yeah, any requests, any suggestions, any volunteers? You don't have to do it right now in the chat, but drop us an email or a message on the help desk later if something comes to you. We're definitely open to ideas. Okay, so let's go to the Q&A. There are some things in the chat. Sarah, the first one is for you. Is there still the legal exception option on the drop-down for using excluded works under Section 36? I
think it should be. I think it's hidden. Yes, okay. It should be there. I think it's something that we need to have a look at putting back. Okay. So this would be where you are using an exception, so Section 36, and you're uploading. It's if you are using something for teaching use, I'm not going to go into the details of Section 36. Have a look at the IPO website advice on that, but it's teaching and learning. It's not as generous as for our license, and it only applies in quite limited circumstances, but it does need to be there. So I think Imogen, as part of our review, we can have a look at that and also see what guidance we might be able to provide around the hover button. Not sure how much it's used.
Yeah, so I suppose the question for me, and Sarah, we'll talk about this later, is there something that people can use in the meantime? For example, for now, could that go into special license? Yes, and then we add it in the new platform?
Probably what people have been doing.
Right.
It's I think the special license is being used as a bit of a catch-all, which is okay. Okay. But it would just be helpful to know a little bit more information, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we will definitely get that explicitly added in the new version. And I'm hoping Sarah will allow us to carry on using a special license for this one for the time being. Super. Thank you. When the second extract permission amount comes to over 20%, is it still okay to confirm within extent limits? So this is obviously for book, not journal. If that is 2 chapters, I would say yes. Sarah?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a further extract. So is the question to right? So this is yes, I agree. If it's 2 chapters, if it's within the license extent limits, that's fine, provided you've paid for it, and you have.
Yeah.
You've been through you've got it. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, super. And obviously in the current one, you do that externally before you come to the DCS, and you're just clicking to confirm that you have done that. We are hoping that you can do it within the system for the new one, although I think it'll come after initial launch, but we will add that. Good. Will we still be, so this is now, I think, for me in the new system. So will we still be able to view other scanned content in DCS? Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I should have been clear. We actually have a third system, which is our content repository, which will be separate again, and it will speak to both. So yeah, the content, you'll be able to see crowdsourced content, absolutely. Which is the same question from Liz as well. Crowdsourced content will absolutely be a part of it. Duncan, which link? Hopefully it's the link that I've just put in. If not, let me know. Suggestions for an exciting new platform. Right. Okay. So these are things for me to take away rather than a suggestion for the session. Wonderful. Thank you. I will absolutely take that away. In fact, I'm going to copy the text just now. If other people are looking at the chat, whoopsie-daisy, I've just lost it now. I'm going to read it out because I don't think the chat will arrive with the recording. So we have suggestions for an exciting new platform. Easier ISBN modifications. Okay, simplify the process of modifying ISBNs in active requests to enhance user efficiency. We are absolutely looking at doing that. So hopefully you'll see an improvement. Clearer report parameters, providing more transparent or specific parameters for reports, such as displaying the total number per year instead of overall views. I think I might need to hear a little bit more about exactly what you want there, Maria. Feel free either to explain in the chat, or perhaps you want to send me an email later with a bit more detail. We haven't started building reports yet. That'll come much later, obviously, because we don't have anything to report on yet. So we have a bit of time. But if you can give me a little bit more information, that'd be great. Thank you. And a question from Christian. Hi, Sarah. What overwrite can we use for books that have been withdrawn from the catalogue for some reason, but the scan was made when still in stock?
Hi. So Imogen, could you just clarify for me? So if it's a new request, then this isn't an issue. So this would be reusing something that you'd already scanned. Is that correct? I don't quite understand why you would be reusing something. Why you'd be creating a new request, because you have to own it to make a new request. The tech has defeated me. I need a bit of guidance here. What would be the situation? Would it be because it wouldn't be a new request, would it?
Yeah, I mean, so it's an overwrite for books that have been withdrawn from the catalogue for some reason. So is it not the case that, I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing.
Would this be
from the
during the
catalogue
course of a year, or
I'm not sure. I think we might need a bit more clarity.
Yes, we might need a bit of clarification. So it's fine to keep scans that you've made from books that are no longer in your collection, but you can't make a new copy from something you don't hold anymore. So yeah, a little bit more clarification.
Okay, well, we'll see if that comes through. Unfortunately, it's a kind of Christian who the question comes from, for some reason, isn't able to use the chat himself, so it might take a little bit of time for that to come through. If not, we can
pick that up
follow up later.
Follow up with on the general follow up.
Yeah. So here's where the scan has broken between when they've rolled over. Okay.
Oh. I see.
So that's maybe.
Could we, for the moment, put it in that catch-all of special license provision?
Yeah.
That would be the closest match at the moment.
I think we might want. We can bring this into our discussion around what we have.
That would be a great idea. Thanks for the question. Really good one.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you. And then Rona, I think this one's from me again. So, in the new version of the DCS, is there a way of being able to see what crowdsourced content is available before a request is placed? Yes and no. We are looking to show you if there's any crowdsourced for the whole ISBN, basically, for Talking Book. But you won't necessarily see what that is, partly from the practicalities of if it's got a lot of them, there simply isn't space to design it. But also because our mandate from the publishers specifies that we cannot create a searchable repository, which that is getting very close to. So there's a couple of reasons that it won't be detail, but we are going to show whether there's something for it.
Okay, there's another question about overrides. Possibly a similar question to Christian. If we need to scan something which we have purchased previously, but our copy is missing, can we use a crowdsourced copy or personal copy, even if the book isn't physically in our collection, but is in our catalogue? Interesting. I mean, the technical answer to that is no, because you must own it. But if it's catalogued and it's just missing at the time, and you're confident that you can find it again, then fine. But if it's, I think there's a certain amount of sort of personal judgment that needs to be used here. I think if you're confident that you still have it, then okay. Use the crowdsourced copy. But if you're not sure and you think it might have gone missing for the duration, you need to buy it again. So it's looking at that ownership requirement in the license and interpreting that. So is it fair for me to use somebody else's copy? I think, yeah, there's an amount of personal judgment there. Thank you. Good.
These are all very useful questions, and they're always the sort of thing that I refer to Margaret. So thank you. I guess I'm learning something too. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, that is, I think, all of the questions that we had in the chat. Is there anything else that people would like to ask while we have Sarah, the font of all license knowledge? From my perspective,
not DCS knowledge.
But between us, we can answer most things. Is there anything else that people would like to ask? Otherwise, I think we will wrap up. I'm going to put my little survey. Oh no, I'm not. That's not what I planned to put in the chat. Otherwise, please do have a look at